One of the things people worry about the most when traveling the world is the danger that's out there. But I'm happy to say that after 18 years of traveling around the world, nothing really that bad has happened to me. So in this video, I'm going to share my tips and tricks about traveling the world and staying safe while doing so. I'll tell some stories of when things could have gone wrong but didn't, and how I managed to navigate those circumstances and emerge with my safety and sort of humility intact. So basically, yeah, this is going to be a fun video because I've got lots of stories from the last 18 years of traveling around the world. And it's interesting to note that some of these things did happen in my hometown of Toronto, Canada, and the city where I've also lived the most abroad, which is Belgrade, Serbia. So just a disclaimer, I am not a security consultant. I am not an expert in this field. I just have my own experiences that are for my own personality, my own look, my own presence that I project onto the world. I'm a man who's usually a bit taller than most of the locals in the place. I'm about 183 centimeters. And I've got this face that sort of stares people down and stuff like that. So what might work for me might not work for you. I'm just here to give you some tips and tricks about how I have managed to stay safe while traveling abroad. So the first tip I will give you is one of the most obvious ones, and one of the ones where, like a lot of people just are not conscious of when you see them traveling as travelers. Know where you're going and don't look lost. So if you know where you're going, if you know I'm walking down this street to this location and it's over here and all that sort of stuff, you'll be a lot less targeted by people who are trying to do you harm, because nothing screams you can steal from me or you can take advantage of me more than being a tourist with a map out, looking lost, looking like an obvious sort of like gringo traveling around the world who isn't really aware of their surroundings. So yeah, know where you're going and don't look lost. That means keep on moving, be aware of, your stuff, how you contrast to the locals and stuff like that. Do you look a part of the city, or do you stick out as like just some tourist? And do you look lost, or do you know like what the plan is, what you're trying to do, or are you just sitting around waiting for something to happen? Being aware of your surroundings. This is the second thing. So being aware of your surroundings, I'm talking about like you should always be looking around, seeing everybody who's on the street, and basically just know which types of characters are looking at you, look at them, all this sort of stuff, and be perceptive to the sorts of vibes that are around you that because chances are if there's somebody who's sizing you up and you look at them and you don't look like this you don't look like this sort of tourist who's going to be taken advantage of as easily if you look like you're aware of your surroundings and thinking about the possible danger and what you can do to mitigate it. And so the third thing is don't dress to impress. There's a phrase, status illegible, that I like very much. It's when you can't tell somebody's social status when you look at them. Like me, for example, I could be a homeless person, or I could be a billionaire. You don't know, a beggar or a banker. Who knows? And if your style is having a fancy watch, fancy clothes, all this stuff, yeah, you're going to stick out like a sore thumb, and especially in most international tourist destinations where people, might want to take advantage of you. So try to tone it down and sort of blend in and don't be flashy in the way that you present yourself while traveling the world. Just like wear a black t-shirt, wear some normal shorts, like just tone it down, and then you'll be less of a target. And the next thing is walking confidently with swagger. I don't know how to describe this, but this is just a way of walking down the street where you feel that you are in control of yourself and your surroundings. Obviously, this works for me because I'm taller than a lot of people in these places. I exercise. I take great pride in taking care of my body and taking care of my emotions so that I'm in control of myself and the interactions that I have with other people. When I was in Africa, South Africa, even that was not enough to sort of keep people from coming up and asking me for money, trying to sell me drugs, all that sort of stuff constantly. So every 50 meters. And so I found that the best way to stop that from happening was just to walk with a little bit of a swing to it, like you're a little bit more aggressive, pumped up and stuff like that. So the swagger helped me avoid. Then nobody approached me. It was at night one time from the bar, and just walking like this and like really pumped up, everybody was just like, yeah, let's just leave this guy be. He's got the energy of someone who knows where they're going, as I said. So the swagger can be very important. Also, looking people up and down. So when you're walking down the street and you're in a place, I said this, like, be aware of your surroundings, the characters there, but don't be afraid to look people up and down and sort of like, just size them up, because they're sizing you up all the time. If you're a tourist in a place and they're selling something, or they're a criminal trying to steal from tourists, they're sizing you up. So why don't you size them up? Now, it just means looking them in the eye, it means looking them up and down, it means nodding at them, acknowledging their presence and stuff like that. It's the same as being aware of the surroundings, but just sort of like, it's a little bit more like, I got you. I got you on my radar. I know what's happening. And I respect you also. This is the next thing. Show people respect. I remember one time I was in Peru in 2009, and I wanted to get off of the Gringo Trail. I got out of Lima and got to this place where they had this Gringo Trail with like sea lions and stuff like that, super touristy. Then I was like, where can I go that's like real Peru? And eventually I managed to take some bus and then some tuk-tuk or something, and got in the middle of a real Peruvian town. And I go to an internet cafe. Back then they had internet cafes, and I started researching where I actually was. And it said that it's actually quite dangerous. So yeah, I mean, I had to get back to my hotel room, which was only $3 a night. And from the internet cafe, I'd had a few drinks already. And I noticed that all of the people there were really curious about me being a foreigner and being there, because I had finally gotten to this like place in Peru, which is authentic. And so I ate and I drank and stuff like that. Then I walked back to the place. And lots of people were just like waving at me, amigo, amigo, amigo. You don't know sometimes when you're in a place like that. I was a little bit tripped out by the fact that the internet told me the place was dangerous. And so what do? You just wave to everybody. Hola, amigo, hola, amigo, hola, amigo. Smile at them, but keep on walking. But you show them respect. Even somebody who wants to steal from you, if you show them respect, they might change their mind. They might take someone who they respect less because they feel respected less. So yeah, that's the next thing. Be friendly by curt. Keep on walking. Whatever it is, like, just be friendly but short. Minimize the interaction when you don't know what the safety status is of somebody, something, someplace, or something like that, unless you feel this deep intuitive trust of a situation, of a person. You see on their face that they're genuinely friendly. If you don't know why they're talking to you, be friendly but curt. Oh, hello, amigo. I'm going over here. Bye. Because a lot of the time, it's just like, they might just be curious of you as a tourist. They might just want to take everything you have on you. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. But friendliness will always help minimize the incidence of them taking money off of you, wanting to hold you up with a gun or anything like that, because you're treating them like human beings. Also, when I'm sitting in restaurants, often in Latin America, Eastern Europe, and pretty much in a lot of these places, yeah, I can say this has happened in Asia, Africa, Europe, Latin America. So people will come to your table when you're sitting on a patio and they will try to sell you something, try to beg from you, and all this sort of stuff. In this situation, these people know that they're doing something which is slightly invasive, and they probably feel a little bit of shame, but they get past that because this is their job, this is their livelihood, this is how they make money, whatever, and it works sometimes. So what do you want to do? You want to show them that they are not gonna have this thing work with you. So I have this way, like, in contrast to when I'm passing people on the street and stuff like that, I always look them up and down. When I see a beggar off the side of my head come up to my table, I just wave them off without even looking at them. Just wave them off. Just no, like with minimal amount of effort, no. Not even pay attention to them at all. So they know that they're not going to get the attention and therefore any money or anything like that out of me. And then if I do have to look at them, if they keep on doing this, I just look at them really quickly in the eye. No. Usually one of those two things is enough to get them to move on to the next table of people who might have a little bit more guilt, and give them money and stuff like that. All right, so the main thing of this video, if I really want to drive home one point, it's trust your intuition. Trust your intuition. You can feel we have a primal sort of instinct within us, which will tell us when we're in danger. Sometimes things can confuse this, but more than often than not, your mind will confuse it, but your gut will tell you. So trust your intuition. And when trouble actually arises, so far in the video, I've talked about how you can avoid trouble, avoid getting into situations. What happens when you are in a situation? Well, all right. So when you are in trouble, don't lose your cool. Don't lose your cool and break the frame. So a lot of the time, if somebody is trying to rob you, they will prey on the fact that when you realize that, you will feel fear. If you break the frame, and I'm thinking like, you just start laughing at them, you tap them on the shoulder, amigo, my friend, just no, we're not going to play this game. You're not robbing me. This isn't how it works. Just like fuck off. One story is I was in Colombia, in Medellin, in Poblado neighborhood. And basically a guy, yeah, it was 2 a.m. I was kind of drunk. I gotta admit, I was walking down the street alone. And this guy came up with these like hippie bracelets on his, on a piece of cardboard. You know, his scam is he's trying to sell these hippie bracelets, but he holds them up to you. And then he reaches his hand underneath and tries to reach into your pocket and grab your phone. He did this. I caught his hand and immediately started laughing at him. And then I walked down the street after him, pointing my finger and laughing at him. I'm not afraid of the guy. Maybe I should be. Maybe he would, in a different frame, be the sort of guy who would, I don't know, pull a weapon on me. But I didn't let that become the frame. I wasn't going to let him make me afraid. It's like, you just tried to steal my phone. I caught you. I won this round. Ha, 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 ha. Keep it playful. Keep it light. Because a lot of these people, you know, if you start to feel afraid, then they'll start to feel afraid what you might do and all this sort of stuff, which is also a tool. But yeah, but if you can keep it light and playful and ha, 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 I ended up fist bumping the guy and going, respect, man, respect, because he was trying to explain to me like, oh, don't tell anybody what happened here. I'm like, yes, whatever, man, respect. We're all people. Because a lot of the time these people, they're people too. They're doing what they need to survive. They're doing like, you know, these things because they feel that their survival depends on it. And, you know, fuck other people. But if you show friendliness, a connection to them, they won't want to fuck you. But then on the other hand, sometimes it is good to be willing to make a scene. Be willing to make a scene. And basically, okay, so one time I was in Belgrade. I had just come back from London, but the flight was through Macedonia, so it was 6 hours on the bus. And then basically, I had 3 guitars that I was traveling. I was at the bus station, got picked up by this guy with the 3 guitars in the back seat, and it was a taxi driver. Now, taxi scams are one of the only scams in Belgrade, Serbia, where I live a lot of the time. And they have these magically rising meters that will calculate, an unfair price that are, much higher than the actually government prescribed prices per kilometer that all taxis have to follow. So I noticed this was happening. And I was kind of grooving with it. What should I do? What should I do? What should I do? And in this case, I thought of this kind of clever way to call attention to the situation. I took out my phone and I started videotaping the magically rising meter, but sort of pretending I was just a tourist, that I was like going around, even though I spoke the language. I was speaking in Serbian with him. Anyways, he pulls over the car and says, "Why are you recording? We're going to have a problem." I'm like, "Yeah, but you know that something's not right here." He's like, "I don't know." I'm like, "Yeah, but you stopped the car because I'm recording, because you know that your meter's fucked, right? Right? I'll call the police if you want me to right now. You'll go to jail. Do you want that?" He's like, "No, get out." I'm like, "Okay, fine, I'll get out." He's like, "How much do you want to pay?" I'm like, "Nothing. Bye. I'll call the police." Then he sped away, because I guess nobody had ever broken the frame like this or reacted to this like that. And I was willing to make a scene. And a lot of the time, sorry, I got some allergies here. A lot of the time people are willing to make a scene. And those aren't the people they want to deal with. He probably just wants to go back to the bus station, pick up another tourist who's going to feel the guilt and pay him. Be willing to make a scene in cases. Stand your ground. Be willing to stand your ground. Another story. This happened in Toronto, where I'm actually from. I got on the subway, Bloor Station, going north to St. Clair. 3 stops at Bloor Station. These people got on the train. As they got on, there was a girl and 2 guys. I looked her up and down, as a man does when an attractive woman gets on. And then he's like, "Hey, you were looking at my girl." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, yeah. I won't make anything of it." It's like, "Yeah, I look at people. Yeah, as I said, be aware of your surroundings." I look at people. "Hey, you want to fight?" I'm like, "No, I don't want to fight." But I stood my ground. It's just like, "No, I don't want to fight. This is what you do. All right." He kept on trying to do it. He's like, "I've killed people before. I'll go to jail for beating you up. I don't care." I'm like, "Dude, there's no need for that. We're cool. If you want to do that, that's your problem. It's a little much for the situation." But he was just looking for trouble. And people are just looking for trouble. If you stand your ground, a lot of the time they will back off. Because they're looking, all of these things, they're looking for weakness in you that they can exploit to make you afraid and make you do what they want you to do, which is hand over your wallet, hand over your phone, whatever it is. They're looking for vulnerability if you don't show that. But then the last thing I will say about all of this, all of these situations, get out while you can. In this situation with the guy who wanted to fight because I looked at the girl or whatever, right. Get out while you still can. So what happened is, I got to my stop after listening to this ridiculous stuff. After 3, I was standing my ground for 3 stops. And you don't want to stand your ground too much, to the point where it just ends badly, because things end up escalating while you're standing your ground. So while you're standing your ground, always think of how you can get out of a situation. How you can get out of a situation. And so you're standing your ground, just like, "No, I'm not interested in fighting you," anything like that. "No, just like, leave me alone, just fuck off. This is me standing my ground." But then always be thinking of how you can get out, because they get the feeling that you're standing your ground, so they don't expect you to immediately run away. So you need to, they're expecting you to stand your ground because they're used to people behaving like that. But in this case, my station came, and I stood my ground for 3 stations. And The door opened at my station. I continued to sit there and sort of look at him. But as soon as I hear the ding, 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 that the doors were about to close, I jumped up and jumped through the doors just as they were closing. And, basically there was no opportunity because the doors were closing. The doors were then closed. There was no opportunity for him to follow me out the doors, and I was safely out of the situation. Another situation where I had these people after last call who wanted to find me outside of my apartment one time. And basically, I ended up standing my ground outside my apartment while I talked with them. They wanted to fight. I didn't want to fight. But then at the last moment, I took my key out, and it was one of those stairs that led upstairs, managed to get the key through the door, get my body on the other side of the door while they were pushing on it. And then I used my knees to push with my back. This happened in Toronto too, on Bloor Street. And put my back on the door, my feet on the stairs, and used all my might to click. The door was closed. Yeah, the door was then closed and I was safe. So always be looking for your way out of any situation. It's not cowardly to run, and make them think you're standing your ground and then escape in a moment where they don't expect it. Another one, I was in Peru again, and it was basically like, this guy was talking to me, and then he tried to sell me drugs, and then he tried to frame me for drugs, and then he took out a police ID. And as soon as I saw that police ID, that he was like, saying that, whatever, I don't know. It was a weird situation, but anyways, as soon as I saw the police ID, I didn't want to talk to this guy anymore. I just started running, and he didn't expect that. Yeah. So basically, always have an exit strategy. Always know how to disrupt the frame. Always be aware of your surroundings. Walk confidently. Show people respect. Be friendly. All that stuff will help you stay safe while traveling. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you later. This is the Support Adventure YouTube channel. Please subscribe. Bye, guys.